Okay. So yeah, as I say, thanks for coming. It's going to be very interactive. Now, I just want to say a little bit about myself before I get started. Okay. That's me. My name's Jonathan Lee. And when I was 12 years old, I went into my brother's bedroom, my older brother, and I found a VHS copy of a documentary called Pumping Iron. Now, for the younger people in the audience, VHS is what we used to watch movies on before DVDs. I'm showing my age a little bit here, okay. So I found who's heard of this movie documentary, Pumping Iron? Show of hands. One person? Arnold, yep, that's right. Well, you've heard of Arnold Schwarzenegger, am I right? Okay. Pumping Iron is a 1977 documentary featuring a then unknown Arnold Schwarzenegger. And again, for the younger people in the audience, before he was a big Hollywood movie star, he was actually a bodybuilder. I'm sure most of you know that, right? Yeah. And in this documentary, he's actually competing with another guy who actually ended up going into Hollywood, a lesser known guy by the name of Lou Ferrigno. Anyone know Lou Ferrigno? No. He played the original Incredible Hulk. Yeah, that's right. And they were both competing for Mr. Olympia. Now, the reason I bring this up is because when I saw this documentary at the age of 12, it blew my mind. I thought, this is incredible. From that moment onwards, I wanted to be a bodybuilder, just like Arnold Schwarzenegger. At the age of 12, I don't think any of the gyms would have set me. But when I was 16 years old, that's the first time I went to the gym. And I'll tell you what happened when I went to the gym at the age of 16. It was absolutely incredible. The transformations, I couldn't even describe it. It was every single week I'd go to the gym, I'd find muscles that I never knew I had popping up. I had a six-pack within 6 months. I looked great and I felt great. But that was at the age of 16. As I got older, things got pretty much downhill after that. In my mid-20s, I found myself getting fatter every single year. You know, when I was 16, I'd do a few press-ups and my chest would just come out like this. At the age of 23, 24, everything that I was doing at the age of 16 wasn't working anymore. And the stomach was just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. I couldn't even see the floor, you know? So I thought, well, it's probably about time I go on a diet, you know what I mean? Cut down a few calories. And so I went on Slimming World. And when that didn't work, I decided to go on Weight Watchers. And when that didn't work, I decided to go on Atkins. And when that didn't work, I did the Warrior Diet. And when that didn't work, I did the 5-2 diet, and et cetera, et cetera. Every diet I went on, I'd lose a little bit of weight, I'd hit a plateau, and then the weight would come back again, and then I'd gain a little bit more weight. And I was actually fatter after, at the end of the diet, than I was when I started. And I didn't know what the hell was going on. I was really confused. I even went to university. I studied sports nutrition in King's College. And my university experience, I learned a lot, but this was back in 1998. And it's 20 years later, we know a lot more now than we did back in 1998. And I'm one of those inquisitive guys. You know, I went up to the professors and I'd say, look, what's going on, man? Every time I lose weight, I'm hitting plateaus. And the professors, they couldn't even answer the questions. They kind of had a limited knowledge. What we know now is so much more to what we knew back then, that even the professors couldn't really give me an answer that I was looking for. In more recent years, I decided to really delve into the science. I followed people like, and you might know some of these people, you might not, Michael Matthews, Alan Aragon, Lyle McDonald, Jerry Brainham. These people are experts in the field of weight loss, muscle growth, and I really followed them. I looked at all the articles that they suggested that we read. I went into it. I read all the books, and I started to put the pieces together. And the best part about it was that I applied everything I learned to my own experience, because I kept on hitting these plateaus. And within 10 months, I lost 15% body fat. I'll show you some pictures later on, if you don't believe me. But the point is that everything I'm going to be talking about today is going to be science-backed. It's not based on opinion. It's not based on 1 or 2 testimonials from dodgy weight loss supplements or anything like that. This is all based on science. Oh, that noise, that music's been playing all day. But yeah, that's what it's about. So, what do most people want? Every time I go to the gym, I see people running on the machines, I see people lifting weights, there's diets coming out every week. What is it that most people want? It's interactive, as I said before, so feel free to interject. Hmm?
Burn fat, gain muscle.
Exactly. That's what most people want to do. Is they want to look lean. I think. Is that a fair statement? Lose weight. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So I mean, this brings me on to a magazine called Psychology Today. You heard of Psychology Today?
Yeah.
I know you have, definitely. It's a 1997 article. They actually, before I talk about that, you tend to find that there's three types of people out there when it comes to body physique. There are people who really don't give a damn what they look like, and that's fine. There are other people who are really happy with their current body physique, and then there are people who can't even look in the mirror. They hate the way they look. And in this article, they looked at 4,500 people who fit into that latter category, people who hated the way they looked. And they were all asked, what is it that you don't like about your body? And both men and women said the same thing. They either said, I'm too fat, or I'm too thin. And that's pretty much it. They all wanted to look lean. And that shouldn't really come as a surprise, am I right? Okay. Let's look at some examples of this. Guys, if you had to choose, okay, which physique to go for, would you say the guy on the left? I know, the girls are coming. That's a good point, actually. That's a good point, But which physique would you say is the most attractive out of all three? The middle, right? That's what most people would say. Ladies or men? If you had to choose between the two, and I'm trying to be really politically correct here, but if I had to choose between the two, which one would you go for? The left or the right? But I think most people would say the right. Okay. And so, in this study, again, going back to the 1997 study, most people wanted to look lean. But what does it actually mean to be lean? Technically, lean is anything that's an 11-10% body fat. Both of these guys are lean, am I right? Yeah. But they look completely different. Again, in this society that we're living in, I think most people would rather go for the right than the left. Nothing wrong with the guy on the left, but it's just most people, if they had to choose, would tend to go for the right.
No, you don't think that's all right, do you?
Okay, well.
To be interactive.
Okay, no, fair enough.
Like him because he's smiling.
Yeah.
Nice physique.
Okay.
A little tattoo.
Okay, that's fine. But they both are lean, am I right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. So even when it comes to being lean, there's, you can have athletic, muscular, and you can have relatively thin, but they both are lean, right? Now, what I'm going to be talking about today is about how to lose the fat and gain the muscle, because that's pretty much what you have to focus on if you want to go for that athletic look that most of us agree we're kind of going for. Okay, so I didn't get your name. Sorry, what's your name again?
Ian.
Ian, yeah. You kind of alluded to it a bit earlier on. You have to burn the fat and build the muscle. Now, the first part of the presentation is going to be about burning the fat. Okay. Does any of these diets look familiar to you? How many people have been on any of these diets? Hmm? 2 people? Hmm? Hmm? Which diet have you been on, Amanda?
My own, probably.
Your own diet? Okay. What's your diet? What's your own diet?
Well, things change over the years.
Okay, so you've been on different diets, am I right?
So I remember being younger, and then I'd go on a diet where I'd try not to eat anything.
Okay.
And then try not to have anything for breakfast, and then have as little calories as possible.
For how long? Every single day?
Like 1 meal a day.
Okay, it's a bit like the warrior diet.
The worst thing you can do.
Well, it's a bit like the warrior diet. That's basically the warrior diet. Ori Hofmeckler, he came up with the warrior diet. He said basically everyone should be eating 1 meal a day at night time. That's pretty much what the warrior diet's about. Anybody else?
Oh, no, I went on a cereal diet.
A cereal diet, okay.
Yes,
Well,
don't have cereals for the whole day.
Okay.
I'd be ill.
okay,
So I was on Special K every day.
okay, interesting. Anyone else? Anyone else have to swim fast? How did you find it? Okay, that doesn't even surprise me, to be honest with you. Anybody else? Huh? Intermittent fasting. Okay, it sounds a bit like the warrior diet. You're going to go through long periods of not eating and then eat loads at one time. Am I right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Which one did you do?
Me, I did like 15, 16 hours a day.
Okay, so that's a 12/8 diet, yeah.
At night, and then maybe lunchtime, I'll just eat lunch and then I'll just eat. But
Oh, 16 hours, you said.
yeah, like from night time to morning, like
Okay.
I sleep and then have it till maybe
Okay.
1 o'clock and then eat then. But the thing for me is it didn't work because I don't eat healthy.
Okay. Okay, but again, we're gonna, this is all gonna make more sense as we go on. Anybody else?
Yeah, I'm on the Atkins
Atkins, okay.
I did one similar
for about
to
5 days.
The keto,
yeah, which was low GI.
okay. Okay, so what is it that all these diets have in common?
They don't work.
Okay, that's an interesting point. Interesting point.
Very hard to sustain.
Yep, very, very hard to sustain.
One thing, focusing on having one thing.
But what is it all of these diets have in common?
It has nothing to do with exercise.
Yes, but there's something like in regards to the actual,
Restrictive.
you're getting there, restrictive in
Something
calories, yeah, restrictive in calories. All diets are calorie restrictive, okay? And this is the thing that a lot of people are very confused about, because I think deep down we all know that. Deep down we all know that you have to be on a calorie deficit if you want to burn calories, if you want to lose weight. And I'll give you an example. If you went on the Atkins diet, but you ate, let's say, 5,000 calories a day of chicken and meat and all that, but you only burnt 3,000 calories a day, do you think you'd lose weight? You won't. You'll gain weight. And you'll say, I'm on the Atkins diet, but I'm gaining weight. How does that work? The same with the warrior diet, the same with the paleo, all these diets. They only work if you're on a calorie restriction. Now, I don't want you to take my word for it. Okay? Oh, yeah, so it's all in the calories. Loads and loads and loads and loads of science for the last 50, 60 years have been pretty much saying the same thing. You have to be on a calorie restriction if you want to lose the weight. And I'm going to give you some really bizarre examples just to prove my point a bit further. Now there's this guy here, Mark Hobbs. Who's heard of the Twinkie diet?
No.
No? Now Mark Hobbs, he's not just some random guy. He's actually a professor in human nutrition in Kansas University, America. And all of his students every week would come up to him and say, hey, Mark, what do you think of the Atkins diet? What do you think of the 5-2 diet? What do you think of... And he actually got sick to death of people asking him this. So he actually decided to prove a point. He said, look, it's all about the calorie restriction. And so what this guy did is he actually ate nothing but pretty much junk food on a calorie deficit. So he was it's true, yeah, he was eating 2,600. That was how much calories he had to actually stay the same weight. He knocked it down to 1,800 calories, but most of those calories were coming from Doritos, Oreos, probably Special K, you know, sugary cereals. But he restricted it to 1,800. No, his cholesterol went down. His cholesterol actually went down. Check out the study, seriously. This really revolutionized the way we think. His BMI went down, his cholesterol went down. Now, I'm not saying that this is the way you should do it, by the way, because this is an extremely unhealthy diet. I'm getting there. He did one thing I will say is he did take protein shakes, okay, and he did take multivitamins. But other than that, he was eating nothing but junk food. And he lost 27 pounds in 10 weeks, okay? And he went on this diet, again, he's not an idiot, he's a professor in human nutrition. And he did this just to prove a point that it is really about calories. Another example, the McDonald's diet. These are real people. John Sisner lost 37 pounds, this was crazy, 37 pounds just by eating McDonald's foods on a calorie deficit, okay? The potato diet, this guy lost 117 pounds in literally 1 year. And he was eating predominantly potatoes. Again, these are crazy diets. You should not do any of this, I'm just saying. But this does prove a point that calories are the main factor here. So, again, I just want to prove a point. It's all about the calories, okay? Am I with you? Is everyone with me? No questions? Okay. One thing that we have to agree on is that calories is extremely important when it comes to weight loss. Yeah. Okay. So in this part of the presentation, I'm just going to talk a little bit about calorie maintenance. And what certainly worked for me, and it works for pretty much everyone else, is if we look into how many calories we're taking, and then we reduce that amount. Okay. Now there's three ways that you can assess your calorie maintenance. There's a really, really, really accurate way, and then there's a not so accurate way. Now before I go there, I'm just going to say that there's never a 100% accurate way of measuring how many calories you burn every day. Do you know why?
Because you can't measure every single move.
Exactly. Something called, and I'm going to show off a little bit, it's called non-exercise activity thermogenesis, or NEAT for short. And NEAT is basically, NEAT is basically the things that we can't measure. If I scratch my head now, I'm burning calories. If I jump up and down, I hope I didn't affect that, I'm burning calories. Does that still sound okay? So we can't be 100%, but we can kind of get close. So method A is the most accurate way. And I'm just going to briefly talk about that. So what we want to do is work out how many calories we're eating every day. And we call that maintenance calories. And the best way of doing that is if you use something like MyFitnessPal, get some kitchen scales. This is a very, very boring, mundane way of doing it, but it does actually work. Weigh yourself every day, ideally after you use the bathroom when you wake up, okay? Go on the scales. And you do this for around 2 weeks. So let's look at an artificial example. Let's say that Dave, a hypothetical guy called Dave, he wakes up every day, uses the toilet, and then he weighs himself. And he does this every day for 2 weeks, and he records how much he weighs. Now, I think you'd agree that we're not going to weigh the exact same amount every single day, am I right? But if we did pretty much weigh ourselves every day for 2 weeks, we can work out an average. And Dave's average is around 200 pounds. Okay? Now, during that same 2-week period, he's using MyFitnessPal and he's recording his calorie intake every single day for 2 weeks. And this is extremely boring and frustrating. I had to do this myself, 2 weeks. You literally record the calories, everything that you eat. And this is what Dave did. Every single day he recorded his calorie intake. Sometimes it was higher, sometimes it was lower, but it revolved around roughly 2,100 calories. So we could say that Dave's average daily maintenance calories is 2,900 calories. You with me? Okay. Now that's the most accurate way of doing it. If you don't want to do all that, we can guesstimate our calorie intake by simply weighing yourself in pounds and being really honest with yourself and seeing how active you are. So if you're the kind of person who literally goes to work and you do computers, you come home and you watch TV and then go to bed, in other words, you live a relatively sedentary lifestyle, then what you do is you weigh yourself in pounds and multiply that figure with 12 to 13. If you go to the gym every so often, then that's going to be a higher figure, 14 to 16. Now if you live in the gym, 18 to 20. If you're a professional athlete, looking at 18 to 20 and multiply that by pounds. Oh, by the way, this is all in my new book.
Is that irrespective of age?
Yes, it's very much an average. Remember that. Method A is the most accurate way of doing it. It's just that not everybody is willing to measure everything they're doing for 2 weeks. This is the least accurate. If you want to literally get a rough idea right now, at this time, how many calories you're burning on a daily basis, you literally weigh yourself in pounds and multiply that figure by 14 to 16. That kind of gives you a very rough average range of how many calories you're burning every single day. So Dave, 2,800 to 3,200. It's very similar to the result we saw in method A, where he was burning 2,900. Yeah? Some of you look confused. Are you with me? Remember, just ask if there's anything you don't understand. Now, this is really, you look very confused, Amanda. Is it all making sense?
Oh, sorry.
Okay, no, it's okay. What don't you understand?
So these are different ways of monitoring calories, yeah?
Yeah. I mean, what we want to do is there's 3 ways you can do it. There's a really accurate way, and then there's a guesstimate, if that makes sense. Now, the really accurate way you can measure your calories, because if you think about it, if you're eating the same amount of calories every day, then your weight's not going to go up or down very much. So what you can do is you weigh yourself every day for 2 weeks, eat what you're doing now. So don't go on a diet right now, just eat normally. And every single day you measure those calories. And then at the end of the 2-week period, you take an average and you coincide that with your weight. So if you find that your weight's going up, that means you're eating too many calories, basically.
So which one are you saying is the best?
The first one.
Monitor all
Yeah, basically doing everything for around 2 weeks. I say 2 weeks because realistically we're not going to live our lives measuring everything out, but it'll give us a good idea about what our maintenance calories are. You with me?
It's not all about calories, is it?
No, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not about calories. I mean, that's only part of it.
Yeah.
And I'm telling a little story, so you got to be.
I'm there now.
Okay. So, and for the average person burns around 2,000. The average male burns around 2,500 calories a day. Ideally, if you want to lose weight, you want to go on a 15 to 25% calorie deficit, which works out to be around 300 to 600 calories for the average person. And 1 pound of fat is actually 3,500 calories. Now, why did I put that on there?
That's what you're going to tap into. It's not burning.
Well, the reason I put that on there is for the average person who's, let's say, burning 2,500 calories a day, if they were to reduce their calories to 2,000 calories a day, which is around a 15-20% reduction, at least in theory, by the end of the week, they lose approximately 1 pound of fat per week. Is that making sense? Are you sure?
Oh, yeah.
This is what 1 pound of fat looks like. You want to pass it around? Okay, that's literally 1 pound of fat.
But hasn't the average for the male particularly gone down because we're becoming more and more sedentary? So
So say that again, I can't hear you. Sorry.
we drive everywhere, we sit everywhere, we don't do anything. So that turn off.
This is a very average figure. That's why I was saying if you go to method A, that's the most accurate way. Is that answer your question, or are you sure? You look a little bit confused, though. Okay. So now these, as I said, these are very average figures. You have to go down to method A to find out what works for you. Now this is where I talk about metabolism. Okay, this is where it gets interesting. I want to use an analogy here, okay? I'm going to use a lot of analogies with cars. Now imagine that our journey from Birmingham to London equates to our fat loss journey. Yeah? Let's say that we want to lose 15% body fat. The moment we lose 15% body fat is our journey from Birmingham to London, which is a 100-mile journey. Now you can either lose the weight really, really slowly, or you can lose the weight really, really fast. What happens if you lose the weight really, really slowly? It'll take forever, right? It's the equivalent of driving 30 miles an hour to London. It'll take you forever to get there, am I right? What if you're driving at 150 miles an hour because you want to get to London really, really fast? And you're going to drive 150 miles an hour. What's likely going to happen? You're either going to crash or the police are going to catch you, right? Either way, you're not going to get to London. Okay? I use this analogy because dieting is no different. Okay? When you're driving really fast, crash dieting me. Do you get it? Crash? Okay.
Yeah.
So going back to the car analogy, we want to stick to around 70 miles an hour. That's a relatively safe speed limit. Metabolism, okay? Amanda, I'm thinking about you when I say metabolism. There are, just like with the car, if you want to go faster, you put your foot on the accelerator. If you want to slow down, you put your foot on the brake pad, am I right? The human body is just the same. The human body doesn't like change too much. So if you're going to go on a crash diet and you cut your calories way down, which is a lot of the case, those diets I mentioned in the beginning, a lot of people, they tend to go way down. They cut the calories way too fast. And what happens is the body puts the brakes on and says, slow down, slow down. We don't want to lose weight that quickly. Is that making sense? Yeah. Okay. So the fat burning hormones, you know what hormones are, right? Okay. The fat burning hormones, they basically are like the accelerator. They speed up the rate at which we're burning fat. The fat storing hormones, they slow down the rate at which we're burning fat. Okay? When you cut your calories down too fast, too rapidly, the body produces more of these, fat storing hormones, and less of these, fat burning hormones. And that basically slows down the rate at which you burn fat. And the reason the body does that is because when you go on a crash diet, the body thinks that you're entering starvation mode. It doesn't know when its next meal is coming. And so you're getting more of these fat storing hormones because it doesn't want to die. Now, leptin. Who's heard of leptin? Yep. Yep. Okay. Leptin, I want you to think of leptin as like a fuel gauge. So picture this, you're driving to London and you're running out of fuel. And you get a light coming up on saying that you're running low on fuel. But you don't know where your next petrol station is. What would you do? No, you still got fuel, but let's say you're driving 90 miles an hour and the fuel goes, you slow down, am I right? Yeah, you slow down. The same with the body. So this leptin is like a fuel gauge for the body, okay? The leptin levels, they send signals to the brain when there's not enough calories coming in, saying, we want more of these fat storing hormones because we don't know when the next meal's coming in. So you burn calories at a slower rate. Do you know who that guy is? David Blaine, excellent. And do you know where that picture was taken?
Yeah.
London, 2003, yep. And I was there because I'm from London. I remember seeing him. And who knows the story? Yeah, 44 days he went without eating any food at all, just living off water. And do you really think, let's be honest, do you really think that if he was burning fat at the same rate within the first few days as he was by day 44, he'd still be alive? No, he wouldn't. The body is going into survival mode and it's burning fat much slower. That's where the metabolism goes in. The metabolic rate goes down and it finds it harder, and that's why I kept struggling. Every time I went on new diets, I would crash. I wouldn't be taking 15 to 25% reduction. I'd be hitting more like 45, 50% calorie restriction. I would crash after 3 weeks. And I think, what's going on? I'm not losing any more weight. I started to experience the hunger pangs. Again, that's leptin, makes you hungry after 3 weeks. I wouldn't lose fat that quickly. And eventually, because my body is now desperate to put fat on because it's producing more of these fat storing hormones, the moment I start eating food again, the weight will just come back. Incidentally, that's not fat that comes back, that's water, but that's another lecture. Now, is that all making sense? Okay, just stop me if you don't understand anything. So yeah, that's pretty much what I was saying. The same is true with calories. You cut your calories too much, you crash. You don't cut your calories enough, it'll take you forever to lose the weight. So as I kind of mentioned before, the sweet spot is around 15 to 25% calorie restriction. Okay, so I've already shown you that pound of fat, didn't I? So that's the fat burning side of it. Is it all making sense so far? Who mentioned muscle? Was it you? Yeah. What happens when you lose weight?
Well, normally I think you lose,
What do we want to do when we lose weight? What's our intention?
lose the fat.
Gain muscle.
You want to lose the fat?
Reduce size.
Yeah, you're going to reduce size. So what are you going to reduce? You're going to reduce fat, muscle, or both? Both.
Keep the muscle.
Yeah, but you are going to lose a bit of muscle if you don't do anything about it, which you allured on earlier. I haven't forgotten what you said, exercise. Now, so if you lose the weight, you're inevitably going to lose muscle too. We want to lose the fat, but if you don't do anything about it, we're also going to lose muscle.
When you say
And that's-
don't do, sorry, when you say don't do anything about it, do you mean exercise?
I'm going to go there, I'm on my way. But I just wanted to talk, so we've already kind of understood the calorie restriction side of it. That's just part of the puzzle. Let's talk about muscle, because we want to keep the muscle. Ideally, either keep it or grow it, but we don't want to lose it. Who's that guy? Whoa, man.
Yeah.
Not many people got that.
We had study him at university of what he was doing.
In what film?
Can't remember which one it was, where he was rapidly lost, and then
This was The Machinist, the 2004 movie. He had to basically play an insomniac. Yeah, 2004. He had to play a machinist. He had to play an insomniac and with a psychological disorder, and obviously he ended up not eating in the movie and obviously in real life. And so prepare for that role. He actually ended up just eating 1 apple a day. That's all he ate. 1 apple a day. And that's what he looked like in the movie. Now, what's really interesting about that is that, you know what the movie did afterwards? Yeah, this guy, he knows this stuff, doesn't he? Batman Begins. That was what it looked like in 2005, the following year, Batman Begins. Now, in an interview, he actually said that whilst filming The Machinist, after he finished filming The Machinist, he lost so much muscle that he couldn't even do a press-up. That's how much muscle he lost.
Stages type 2 diabetes as well.
Hmm?
He's got early stages type 2 diabetes.
Okay. What, now? Oh, I didn't know that.
These crazy things that he's doing.
Okay. Wow, that's scary.
It has an effect on your internal organ.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, 100%.
As long as
No. I mean, this is an extreme example to kind of prove the point that you are going to lose. This is a very extreme example, but you end up losing muscle when you diet too much. So, what's the big deal about muscle? Why do we care about muscle?
It burns more calories.
Yep,
dense.
yep. It's dense. It gives you that frame. It gives you that look that you want, right? You don't want to look like Christian Bale. You know what I mean? In that particular movie.
He's lean though.
He's very lean, very lean. But it's not the kind of look I think most people want to go for. You know? Why did I put this slide on?
Make us hungry.
No, not to make you hungry. I did this to prove a point. Now, I got this literally from the internet. Now, when you look at this is a tuna surprise. This is literally the ingredients. Now, let's say you went home to make a tuna surprise and you had the majority of these ingredients, but you didn't have the Evo extra virgin olive oil. Instead, you had Tesco branded extra virgin olive oil. Do you think that the tuna surprise would be a disaster? No. What if you only had conventional salt, not Himalayan salt? Well, the tuna surprise, no? It'll be all right, wouldn't it? Even Gordon Ramsay will say, yeah, that's not bad. What if you didn't have the quarter cup of chopped parsley? You only had a little bit of thyme. Would you have to give up on the idea of making a tuna surprise? Maybe, but it'd still be a relatively nice tuna surprise, yeah? Are you with me so far? If you didn't have any tuna, you'd really be in for a surprise, right?
That would be a surprise.
There's certain things that we need. There's certain things that we need in order to make this work, yeah. And there's certain things that we can get away with as well. So that brings me to muscle. Every single day, and when I was 20, 21, and I would go to the news agents, I'll always see Men's Health or something. There'll be a picture of a guy with a six-pack, and they'll come up with some new revolutionary product that's got doctors baffled, you know, or something like that. And they'll always be using some kind of science to justify these products. And some of these products work, some of them don't work, but you tend to find that they're really focusing on the parsley, yeah? They're really focusing on that Himalayan salt. Yeah, it might make a slight difference, but it's not the fundamental that you need to grow muscle. It's the garnish. And I think that's what I'm really going to be talking about in this section. I'm going to differentiate between the garnish and the tuna fish. You with me? Okay, good. So what do you need to maintain muscle? What is the tuna fish here? These are the things that you really need to focus on, okay? Macronutrients, who knows what macronutrients are? Macronutrients, no? Okay, I'll talk about that in a minute. Testosterone, sleep, calorie surplus, exercise, and much more, which is in my book. You can buy it if you want. So basically, macronutrients is what makes up most of the food that we eat. You've got the carbohydrates, the proteins, and the fats. And fiber, which I'm not going to talk about. What's the most important thing that people are talking about at the moment when it comes to supplements and food requirements, macronutrients? What's the hot topic? Protein? Protein, you've got protein shakes, everyone keeps talking about protein. Why is protein so important? Yeah, exactly, everybody looks protein, this, protein, that. Yeah. What's the functions of protein? Why is it important? Protein has all these functions. The moment you eat protein, it's got 1,001 things it has to do. We cannot live without protein. So the moment we start eating protein, it's used to make skin, it's used to make hair, nails, cells, hormones, antigens, antibodies, blood clotting factors, neurotransmitters, hormones, and in regards to what we're looking at, muscles. Okay? That's why protein is really important. It's literally essential for every single metabolic activity. And these are the sources of protein, okay? You've got vegan sources, you've got animal sources. Now, How much protein do we need in order to preserve muscle?
1 gram per
1 gram per pound. Yep, brilliant. The other thing that we need to focus on is fat. Now, is fat good or is fat bad?
Depends what sort of fat it is.
Yep, depends on the type.
Should be the right places.
Yep, okay. But dietary fat, like the fat that we eat. You know, like back in the 70s and 80s, everything was low fat, this low fat. Yeah, processed, yep. But in regards to function, okay, fat is absolutely essential. And it's essential for these reasons. It's obviously energy storage, but it's also essential for nerve function. It's essential for, again, cells, a bit like the protein. Essential for certain types of hormones and transporting vitamins. Omega-3, omega-6. You know about the omega-3s, yeah?
Yeah.
The essential fatty acids. And again, what we're looking at is muscle growth. Now, how does it contribute towards muscle growth?
No fat, no testosterone.
Yeah, exactly, yep. You need fat, which contains a cholesterol. Cholesterol is needed to make testosterone. And testosterone, I'm going to talk about in a little bit, is essential for muscle growth. So, back in the 70s and 80s, when they were promoting these low-fat diets, and some of them went too extreme. Some people who went on these diets, they had basically less fat than they were supposed to eat. And they lost loads of muscle because they weren't making enough testosterone, because they weren't getting enough dietary cholesterol. So that's a very important macronutrient as well.
Fat generate estrogen as well, which is
Yeah, estrogen's okay. So what it is, estrogen works with, a lot of people don't know, estrogen works with testosterone.
yeah, but testosterone burns fat, whereas estrogen
Yeah, too much estrogen. If you see what it is this is I talk about this in my book, by the way. The testosterone, estrogen, they both work synergistically. Okay, but what it is if you have too much estrogen and there's too much of the wrong estrogen, because there's around 3 different types of estrogen. If you have too much of the wrong estrogen, then yeah, it does contribute to stubborn fat and things like that. But it actually works synergistically in the right amounts. It will actually help the testosterone. But what it is if you have too much of that, it's like a balance. Does that make sense? It's like if you add too much salt to your chips, it doesn't taste too much. It doesn't taste too nice. If you don't have any salt to your chips, it doesn't have any taste. So you've got to get that balance right. But yeah, you're right. I think our main focus when it comes to fat, you don't have too much of it, but you don't want to have too little either. I don't really want to go into that because it's such a big topic. But the point is that you need a little bit of fat at least. Around 15% of your diet should be fat, ideally healthy fats, good fats. You know, these are good sources of fat. You don't want to obviously cut down on junk food, which is a bad source of fat. And you have that, and then you'll have enough cholesterol to make the testosterone. And then obviously the carbohydrates. Now, what's the big deal about carbohydrates? It's energy, basically. It's just about energy, that's all it needs. So that's all it does. It provides you with energy. Doesn't really have that many other functions, just energy provision. Helps you sleep better as well, but basically the only function of carbs is really energy. Either gives you energy, and if you aren't going to use the energy, it contributes towards fat storage. Okay. Now, testosterone. You're laughing. Oh, the music, I know. They've been playing for 2 hours. They were doing Nirvana covers earlier on. Okay. So, testosterone is vital for muscle growth, and it also helps play a role in fat burning. So, would you say that boosting your testosterone levels is a good thing? Yeah, am I right?
We have to balance it.
Absolutely, balance it,
For
totally.
ladies, it's not ideal to increase the testosterone.
A little bit with ladies, but not too much. I totally agree. But if you boost it, I think in both male and women, at least if you boost it a little bit, that's going to help with the kind of goals that we're going for. Would you agree with that? Yeah.
What is it,
Why don't you want to-
teaspoon a year or something?
No, because, well, no, you didn't.
It's in his book.
Are you talking about? I do actually cover that as well. I mean, it's like because anabolic steroids are basically one of the most popular ones is actually testosterone, but you can't eat testosterone. It will just be broken down. It has to be injected, and this is a bit of a side topic, but I have a very good friend who started to inject himself with anabolic steroids around 6 months ago. I don't even recognize him now. He's just massive muscles and everything. The problem is, he's thinking about going off it now. Now, there's something that testosterone, I didn't really want to, I'm just a bit of a side note here, but we have something in the body called negative feedback. And what happens is if you boost your testosterone levels too much, your body basically stops producing its own testosterone. So it relies on this foreign testosterone that he's injecting into his body. The moment he stops doing that, his natural testosterone is all the way down here. So the moment he stops going off that, the moment he goes off that testosterone injection, he's going to basically lose all the muscle. He's going to become very weak because his natural testosterone is going to be so low. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then also you obviously got a mismatch with the estrogen as well. So that's why it's not a very good idea to take steroids.
Did he know this? Or-
Yeah, he's just one of those guys who wants quick results. That's why he went into it.
Do you know,
And also you get heart problems as well and
they
everything.
studied at university the effects of testosterone, and you get high dose of testosterone. Your recovery from a workout is like 4 hours, where normally it's like 24 to 48. 4 hours, you can start again. You lose
Exactly.
an hour.
Exactly, yeah. I can read. There's a chapter in it. I literally talk about that in detail. Yeah, in that book there.
Will testosterone will it go back to normal? Or?
Eventually, yeah, even after you take the steroids.
Yeah.
Eventually, but it takes a while. And some people, they try to wean their way back. It's a bit like drugs, really, when you think about it. Yeah. Yeah, huge downer. I mean, that's why he was actually asking me the other day. He said, "Look, what's going to happen when I stop?" And I said, "Well, you ain't have a good time, mate. You know what I mean?"
And he was not like stopped suddenly, but gradually withdrew it.
Yeah, it's like drugs. You know, the moment that you stop taking it, so you got something called endogenous testosterone.
Sometimes you need to take the injections to keep.
I actually don't know what he's doing, to be honest. All I know is he's taking it. I don't know how often he's taking it, or I don't even know what he's actually
If he's
taking.
taking it twice weekly, he could start with weaning it off like.
Yeah, you can wean it off, but I'm thinking there's no point. Again, I'm going to be talking about that a bit later on, but there's no point even. I don't even think there's any point doing it personally. It's if you want really fast results. But yeah, so going back to this, the main benefits. I think we all agree that testosterone has got benefits in regards to muscle growth, right? So the best ways of boosting your testosterone naturally is resistance training, weight training, sleep. Yeah. There's getting enough fat, because that's how you make the testosterone. Say on average 15% of your diet should be fat. And energy from carbohydrates. Micronutrients, which is the opposite of macronutrients. Macronutrients makes up most of what's in the food. Micronutrients are little, that's why it's called micro, because it's not that much. But you know about vitamin D?
Yes.
People talk about vitamin D is very good for muscle growth. It's good for testosterone. Helps make testosterone. The same with zinc. Yeah. Sleep. Do I have to really talk about sleep? Basically, everything that you do worse when you don't sleep. Okay? It's literally responsible for everything. Okay? It's so important.
Does it matter what part of that 7 or 8 hours is deep sleep? Does that matter at all?
Well, you do produce more growth hormone when you're in deep sleep.
Right.
And growth hormone is also one of, you know what growth hormone is? Anyone? Growth hormone? No one's heard of growth hormone? Okay, growth hormone is basically, as the name suggests, it helps your muscles grow, but it also burns fat as well. And there are people out there, athletes, who have been taking some of the naughty stuff, the testosterone. They also take some human growth hormone as well. But basically, that's what it does. It produces more, I say it there, look, produces more growth hormone. You get that in deep sleep, definitely.
So is that have to be night sleep and doesn't have to be in one lot?
I cover that in the book as well. But basically, yeah, there's something called melatonin. Melatonin is related to that. It's another deep topic. I don't remember. The point is, try to get some good hours, good night's sleep. Night sleep is better. Try to sleep in a dark room as opposed to daylight. Okay, you tend to have a better sleep and you produce more of the good stuff. Okay, so as I said before, you know, sleep, it helps repair muscles. Optimizes brain function. You know this. I mean, you try sleeping 3 hours a day for 4 weeks and see what happens. You know what I mean? Obviously, exercise. Now, so this is the end of part 1. Let's put all the pieces together. In order to burn fat while maintaining muscle, you need to be on a calorie deficit. You want to consume enough protein, 1 gram per pound. You want to consume enough fat so that you make enough testosterone. The remaining calories can come from carbohydrates. I talk about this again because I don't have the time to really go into deep detail with it, and obviously you want to focus on exercise because that's going to stimulate testosterone production and growth hormone.